after a day of recess, the Lori Vallow trial continued today, and it was a significant day in court, to say the least. Lori Vallow's only living child, Colby Ryan, he took the stand. For more on what happened in court today, we're joined right now by Fox 10 investigative reporter here in Phoenix, Justin Lum, who's covered this story from the very beginning. Justin, good to see you. So what we know, and this was going to be some pretty highly watched testimony today. What did Colby Ryan have to say?
Yeah, Andrew, this is what we're all waiting for. Mother and son in the courtroom, face to face. And I have a history of Colby Ryan. I've interviewed him multiple times through our coverage on this case. He's the older half-brother of Tylee Ryan and J.J. Vallow, who was adopted into the family. He remained in the valley when his mom, Lori, moved the kids to Rexburg, Idaho back in 2019. And since the fall of 2019, Colby has been blindsided by tragedy, from the disappearance of his two siblings to when authorities discovered the children's remains in eastern Idaho. Colby testified this morning and told the prosecution how his mom, Lori, would not tell him where the family had moved to. He said he would text his sister, Tylee, from time to time, but the responses just didn't sound like her. It just didn't seem like she was on the other end of the phone. Gilbert police contacted Colby in late November of 2019, asking him if he knew where his siblings were. He didn't have an idea, and Lori wasn't cooperating with law enforcement at the time. When Colby called her on Thanksgiving of 2019, her phone was disconnected, and the next several months would be just as frustrating for Colby, as his mom was seen vacationing in Hawaii with her new husband, Chad Daybell. And even when Lori was arrested in February of 2020, she didn't reveal anything about her kids. JJ and Tylee, as we know, would be found dead on Chad Daybell's property in June of 2020. And then less than 2 months later, Colby and Lori spoke as she sat in jail. This was a bombshell recording that we want you to take a careful listen to.
To know that they're gone and you knew, and my phone's being texted by my little sister who's not even alive, my little brother who's the sweetest little kid ever. For what purpose? Can you tell me if this is God's will for my whole family, including my stepfather, to be dead?
All right, Justin, some pretty, really amazing audio listening to that. You know, I think a lot of people who have been watching this case for some time might have been aware of that. That was, I think, in the Netflix documentary, but you could hear the pain in Colby Ryan's voice trying to get some type of answer or explanation out of his mother. So who else, though, spoke in court today?
Well, just to touch on that, I mean, this was probably the most compelling audio of the day. The full conversation between Colby Ryan and Lori Vallow, and she did not respond much. She basically told Colby on the other end, you don't know what happened, the truth will come out, and he was just in utter shock, trying to get her to tell the truth just 2 months after his siblings were found dead. But today, this morning, the testimony for Zulema Pastenes wrapped up. That is Lori's former sister-in-law for a short while. She was the wife of Lori's late brother, Alex Cox, part of this religious inner circle that allegedly believed in creating light and dark spirits in the end of time. So Zulema had her testimony wrap up, and then you had a special agent with the Social Security Administration who basically detailed how Lori allegedly collected her children's benefits even after they were long dead, did not report them dead, and continued to gain thousands of dollars. And also a Rexburg police detective that really went through the bank accounts and the transactions and the financial footprint of not just Lori, but her late brother Alex Cox and Chad Daybell, all named co-conspirators in this case. So a big day of testimony.
Yeah. So, Justin, I know you weren't inside the courtroom today, but apparently there was some type of removal. A person was removed from court today by the judge. Do we know who that was? Do we know why that happened?
Yeah, that person has identified herself. We know her as Lori Hellis. She is an author and a lawyer. She actually used to live in Arizona in the Valley. She moved to Idaho to really focus on writing a book on this case. She's been in the courtroom every day along with us, and I guess the allegation is that she took out her phone and took a picture. She denies those allegations. She told the bailiff, here, check my phone. There's nothing on it. She was let back into the courtroom. She says that she told somebody in the courtroom what happened. And again, they said she was being disruptive. She had to sit in the overflow room for the rest of the day. She has a Twitter thread on what she says happened, and she definitely would like to speak to the judge and the court about this further. She says she did not take a photo of Lori Vallow.
All right. Justin, just lastly, though, because you are now somewhat intimately involved with some of these key players, you've spoken to them several times in the run-up to the trial start date, but now the trial is really in full swing. Court was off yesterday. You were hard at work because you spoke with Lori Vallow's cousin. What did she have to say? If you could offer just a little bit. I know you kind of rushed for time here, but what did she tell you? How is she feeling?
You know, Lori Vallow's cousin still cares for her. She says she still has empathy for her. But then again, she says she is not surprised about the discovery of J.J. Vallow and Tylee Ryan in the backyard of Chad Daybell. She says it was horrifying. She does not know Lori to be very religious as she's been described now. They haven't spoken in many years, but they were very close as they both, grew up together in the Texas area and lived together at one point. Lori Vallow was her bridesmaid. She doesn't describe her as deeply religious, but she says there became a time where she started getting into these beliefs in the end of the world and had said something to the effect of, well, we just drive ourselves off the cliff, we'd be in heaven and we'd be, happy and we'd be taken care of. This is the second time I've heard this from a credible source, someone who was close to Lori. So this is what she offered up, and she is just, it's been hard to come to grips with the reality that someone she loved is now facing up to life in prison.
Yeah. Justin Lum here in the Live Now newsroom. We appreciate your reporting. We're going to rely on it a lot, Justin, and we'll talk again. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Andrew.
Okay, while we had Justin live here, we also want to play out his full report today. Have a listen.
Lori Vallow is seen here as a bridesmaid for her cousin Megan's wedding. It was 1995. Lori was 21 and living in Texas. Now, nearly 30 years later, Megan Iden speaks about her cousin's triple murder trial.
Someone you loved could face life in prison.
Yeah, it's been really difficult, I think, for everybody who is a family member to have watched this all kind of unfold in front of us. And it's a really difficult thing to come to grips with, that somebody that you cared about and loved and, still do care about is capable of this level of horror.
Lori is accused of killing her two children, JJ and Tylee, after moving them from Chandler, Arizona to Rexburg, Idaho in 2019. Prosecutors say Lori and her husband, Chad Daybell, justified the murders with extreme religious beliefs connected to the end of days. Megan says even years ago, Lori spoke about what it would be like to raise a family after Jesus Christ returned.
It's another thing to talk openly about wanting to drive your kids off a cliff and just drive everybody off a cliff and just go to heaven now.
Long before Lori made national headlines, she was known as a doting mother.
That was always true unless you disagreed with her and unless you got on her bad side. And if you got on her bad side, she could be vicious.
Investigators say Lori and Chad taught followers a rubric assessing light and dark spirits and how to rid the world of zombies. Fox 10 first reported on the document sent to Lori from Chad, grading her own family members.
When I found out about the list that Chad had that listed family members who were light and dark, I literally went out and put a security system on my home and contacted my family members and told them not to have anything to do with them. I said, if these people reach out to you, please don't talk to them. I was scared for my safety. I was scared for the safety of my kids.
Megan says a mitigation specialist with the defense interviewed her about Lori's background when this was a capital case, but the death penalty is now off the table. In early 2020, when Lori's kids were missing, Megan says she had little hope they would be found safe.
When they were finally found, it was, again, not surprising, but horrifying.
A horrifying discovery of the children dead in Daybell's backyard. I'm Justin Lum for Fox 10 Investigates.